Good afternoon. Thanks for being here. I appreciate y'all coming out on a pretty nasty day here in Troy, Alabama. But good team win. We needed it, and it was good. You know, I'm proud of our guys. We overcame some adversity. We didn't get into El Paso till right around midnight on Friday night, and they handled that well. We had to adjust our whole Friday schedule, and again, I thought they handled that well, and that shows some maturity. It's hard to win games, and it is, and you need to enjoy them when you do win them, and we certainly are. We've been close in a couple of conference games and didn't get it done. So to get off the type of start we had on Saturday night was definitely a positive and something we'll look forward to doing. Before I get into each side of the ball, a couple of award winners. We'll always give some awards when we win games. Our scout team players of the week last week on offense is running back Keith Johnson, who's sitting out this year. Defensively is Uvakius McGee from Montgomery. He's done a tremendous job for us on our scout team. He's got a lot of upside. He's a guy that is going to step in and fill a major void for us next year. So excited about him. And on special teams was Nick Manuel, our Corey McCullers Spirit Award, who goes to the best guy that brings the most energy on our sidelines and embodies really everything we want in a Trojan. That goes to Josh Burnham, who's a guy that plays some on special teams, but really a team leader, a guy that does a lot of things for us behind the scenes. Defensively, I thought we did a nice job in the red zone. This is really the second week in a row. And on third down, we've got Coach Koenig and has done a nice job. We've got one of the top third down defenses in the country and right at the top of our league. We didn't play the run as well as we would like, or as well as we're going to need to. We haven't played as well defensively probably the last two games as we had earlier in the season. Some of that's because we're getting banged up a little bit. But the good thing is, and I think this is a testament to how far we've come, talking about how we haven't played as well. We've only gave up 7 points this week and only gave up 16 the week before. So I think a lot of that shows of how much improvement we've made. The defensive player of the week this week was Rashad Dillard. I think he scored his first touchdown ever, like Pee-wee, high school ever. That's what he told me after the game. He did a good job holding his gap in the run game. Got a couple pressures on the quarterback, and then had the huge fumble recovery for a touchdown in the second half. Offensively, by far the best game we've played this year. Hopefully those performances start becoming the norm. They have been around here before, and other offenses that we've had at different places. We averaged over 7 yards per play, scored 45 points in the first half. I thought we lost our concentration. I was disappointed how we played in the second half. We did sub quite a bit, and we did pull back the reins a little bit. But early in that third quarter, we should have moved the ball, and we had too many drops. And like I said, I would like for us to come out and still play as hard and as efficient as we did in the first half. But we needed that. I think the big telling point is we had 0 turnovers offensively, and for us to win in our league, that's what it's going to take. We can't turn the ball over, and we've got to do little things right. And it was good. Our offensive player of the week was Brandon Silvers. It was good to get him back. We're a different team offensively when he plays. It'd been since the second series of the Mississippi State game since he'd played, and he did a nice job. Came out, threw the ball with a lot of confidence. Got the ball out of his hand quick. Was decisive. That was probably the best thing that I saw out of him, is he was decisive. And he was 23 of 37, 288 yards, and had 5 touchdowns. So I thought he did a nice job. Special teams, the huge fumble recovery on the first punt that we had, I thought that was the biggest play of the game. Set up our first touchdown. Ryan Cade and Jed Solomon both were very solid, and Jed's been really solid all year. You take that miss, and I know that got pointed out where the field goal he missed at the end of the Idaho game, but he's been solid all year. Several kickoffs out of the end zone, made his field goal. I think he had a career-long field goal. We've got to get better. Our punt coverage team is not where it needs to be. I was disappointed how our snappers, especially our long snapper on the punt team, he did not do as well as he needs to do. And we also got another big punt return. We got another big punt return by Teddy Rubin, and he's one. Our punt return unit's one of the higher ranked teams in the higher ranked units in the country there, and he's done a really good job returning punts. Our special teams player of the week was Ryan Kay. Did a good job fielding bad snaps. Had 6 punts, 47-yard average, and had 2 inside the 20. So good team win. Proud of our guys. Moving on, we've got the best team in our league. At Boone, they play really well at home. It's a tough trip. We're going to head up on Thursday night. and go part of the way. They're one of the hottest teams in the country. I think they're 12-1 over the last 13 games. They came into Troy an underdog last year, sitting at 1-5. And the rest is history. They're 12-1, and really a lot of respect for Scott Satterfield. I think he's done a great job. You know, he's in his third season, and I think that's something that I've noticed as I've went through the years. Petrino, I think, is in his third year. They're playing a lot better football at Idaho. Scott here in his third year at App State has done a tremendous job. Really recruited well. I think they've done a good job making the transition from FCS to Division I. I like watching his guys play. I probably wish we weren't playing them this week, but I like watching them play. On offense, they're really efficient. Defensively, they've got a lot of guys to the football. And, when you start talking about them offensively, it starts with a quarterback. The Lamb kid is a coach's son. He's a true sophomore with 2 years. This is his second year starting. Makes a lot of good decisions. Doesn't turn the ball over very much. He's a threat to run. The running back, Cook, is going to break all the records at App State. I mean, guy that, he doesn't wow you, but he doesn't have negative runs. A lot like I talked about the kid at New Mexico State last week. He just does not have negative runs. He always falls forward. Their O-line is really solid, probably the best O-line in our conference. They're balanced. They lead the Sun Belt in about every offensive category. And they create a lot of alignment and matchup issues based on what they do. Defensively, their coordinator is Nate Woody. He's a guy that's been doing this for a long time. He was a long-time coordinator at Wofford. When he was at Wofford, they had one of the top defenses, 1AA or FCS, however you want to talk about it. They're the top-ranked unit in our conference. I think they're 7th nationally in total defense. They're number 1 in the country in red zone. And Adam can tell you for sure, I think they've only given up 4 red zone touchdowns, which is unbelievable to me. They play a 3-down system. Everything's based on creating negative plays, and we've had several too many negative plays, and that's what they're looking to do. They're solid in all their special teams phases. Kicker and punter, punter's Critcher, and the field goal kicker's Mathis, and they do a really good job. So we got our hands full. Obviously, we're going over there with a little bit more confidence. So with that, any questions?
How much do you preach ball security against a defense that has 416 turnovers already?
Yeah, I didn't even know that, really, to be honest with you. We preach ball security every week, regardless of who we're playing. We devote a whole period, and sometimes it doesn't show, but we start every practice after. We always do some type of competition period at the start, and right after competition, we go right into a turnover circuit on defense where we're working on getting ball out and intercepting the ball, and offensively working on ball security and do a circuit. So we work it every week, regardless of who we're playing. They're doing a good job. I think when you get a lot of people to the ball and they're fast, if you look at who forces turnovers, people can run because they get a lot of hats to the ball. So they're fast on defense and they're getting a lot of hats to the ball. So we've got to be conscious of that.
Was that offensive explosion something you saw coming with the way you guys were practicing that week?
Yeah, well, I knew we were going to play better. And a lot of the reason why we played better last week, and I sat here Monday and talked about how we can't be an outcome-oriented. We've got to be a process-oriented football team and each individual football player. And I thought they did a good job, going from station to station. Whether it was you go from like today, we're going to have a team meeting, we're going to have a special teams meeting, position meeting, practice. You know what I'm saying? And keeping our focus through those things and not worrying about, like today, my message to the team is going to be, hey, we play at 2:35 in Boone, North Carolina on Saturday. That is so far away, let's not even think about it. All I need to think about, let's make corrections from this New Mexico State game. Let's move on and station to station, which sounds redundant and it doesn't have a whole lot of jazz to it, but that's how we got to focus with so many new guys playing. But it's a challenge week in and week out. I'm proud that we're getting better. This is going to be our toughest matchup in conference for sure. Offensive line. Let me go back. I didn't even answer his question, Barry. Hold on a second. Did I see it coming? I'm sorry. I knew we were going to play better. Brandon practiced all week. We're better. We play at a little higher level when he plays. We caught the ball better. We knew we were going to focus on throwing the football going in. So I felt like we had an identity, starting to figure out who we are. So did I see us scoring 45 points in the first half? No. Did I think we were going to play at a much higher level than we had played? Yes. Our offensive line, we're a work in progress there. We're going to be we'd played 6 guys, and it hadn't worked out. We were not happy with how we played, so we tried 2 new guys. Jay Dye played his first meaningful minutes and started at center. walk-on. He's done a really good job for us. Xavier Fields played his first meaningful action in football here at Troy and did a pretty good job. And we rotated 8 rather than 6. And what we're going to do is, based on how practice goes this week, we'll determine who starts. Playing against a different front, they'll play a head-up nose who's about 320 pounds, so it's a different set of issues. But we're gonna reward whoever practices the best, and then whoever has the best production early in the game will play the majority of the snaps.
It's never easy to travel, especially within the conference. You guys went out west
Mm-hmm.
and dominated. How big of a confidence booster is that going into doing this?
Yeah, well, I think just playing well gives you some confidence, and going on the road. I wasn't surprised that we played well on the road. If you look at it, even the games we've lost, we've played pretty decent on the road. They didn't do it. The league didn't do us any scheduling favors. We go from the furthest west to the furthest east, and there's really no easy way to get to Boone. But I think they handled the trip down here pretty well last year, so I don't think it's going to be too big of an issue.
As far as Brandon Burks goes, obviously he's had trouble running the ball this season. Finally has a huge game against New Mexico State. How big was that for Burks as your senior running back, your leader?
Yeah. He hadn't had that much trouble. He's almost averaging 100 yards a game.
He broke out really.
He's averaging almost 6 yards a carry. Tell your heart on him. He's had a good run. He's had a good season so far. And I think if we block things a little cleaner, we'd be talking about him being one of the top running backs in the league and the most productive. The thing that I was the most pleased with him is, and this is what our focus was all week, is not having those negative runs. We've had some -5, -6 runs. He didn't have any of those. The long run he had was special. It really was. It was one of the longest runs in school history, and it was special. He did. Really, we got jammed up in the middle, and he broke a couple tackles. We did a great job blocking at receiver, which I think is a sign of a team that's hungry, is if your wideouts are really blocking well, and ours did in the game on Saturday. But he really has. He's played at a high level. He and Teddy Rubin have been by far and away our most consistent guys offensively.
You talked about how when Appalachian State came here last year, they're 1-5. Since then, they've been dominant. Is this kind of a turning point for the program for you going in there and potentially getting another win, 1-5 before last week?
Yeah, well, I hope so. That's something I talked to our team about. Whether we're at the same point. I think that happened mid-year, year 2 for them. I don't know if we're ready yet. I hope we are. And I think it's to be determined. But that's definitely something I pointed out to the team. Because if you look at it, they were 1-5 and it lost some. They'd lost by several touchdowns a couple times, and they made the long trip here and won going away, and then didn't turn around the rest of the season. So that's something that we're looking to duplicate. Whether we can, I don't know. I think App's a really, really good football team, and we're gonna have to play at a higher level than we have at any point this year.